Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Mentoring Man podcast. My name is Maurice, and I'm here with my good friend John, who is right now in Florida, and I'm in the Netherlands. So we have this whole world combined in one podcast. And we're actually doing this semi-live. That means that what you're watching right now, is recorded at Tuesday, and it's actually in the middle of the night here for me right now. So I gotta tone down a little bit. But when you are watching this, watching a premiere film or something like that, right?
Yeah,
Because
right.
John had other things to go. So we're doing this semi-live today, guys and girls. So glad you're all here. Thank you so much for watching. John, how are things in Florida at the moment, man?
It was a beautiful day all day today. We had we had a lot of rain for about 10 minutes, and then the sky cleared up again, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful evening now.
It's the
Everything's
good
going great.
life. It's the good life in Florida. I hear it
Love
already.
Florida. Love it.
Right. Well, it's getting better here as well. So we're not complaining at all. So we're going to talk about something that is very interesting and very kind of like a tough subject, I think. For us guys, at least, it is something that we struggle a lot with, and I think the ladies out there would want us to be more of this, and that is vulnerability, right? You can see it
Right.
scrolling down the screen. How do you become more vulnerable, and why should you become vulnerable? Why is that a strength instead of a weakness, right? Especially for guys, but also, of course, for women. What does it bring you? John, why should we be more vulnerable to start with?
Vulnerability is not about, crying all the time. All right. It's not. It's about being honest about how you feel. It's about being able to tell the person you're involved in a relationship with, look, this is really what I'm feeling right now. It's not about being the tough guy and putting that wall up. Okay. It's about letting that wall down.
Yeah,
Okay. Because go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. Yeah, no, well,
No,
I
it's
was.
it's about
You
letting
go.
that wall down. We're tripping over each
Yeah,
other. You know, it's about letting her in and to see who you truly are.
yeah,
Because
letting the whole world in, right? It's not only about her in the relationship, but everything, like pulling down the wall, indeed. But showing yourself, it's really about showing your authenticity, and don't be afraid to show that you are not good at things, or things you're insecure about, thinking that the other one will have an opinion about that, right? We see that. I see it a lot of with guys I work with, that they're afraid to show in the things that they are not confident in, right? That they don't like, they didn't talk about it, or they uplift it like, no, 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 it's okay, I can do that. Well, no, man, you gotta own the things. So owning who you are and what you're not good at, that's kind of like the secret there, right? If you can own the things that you're not so good at or you're insecure about, but still able to show it. So it has a lot of to do with confidence, I guess, or not?
it has a lot to do with confidence. It also has a lot to do with integrity.
Right.
All
Yeah.
right,
Good one.
because look, at the end of the day, the only person who has to be happy with you is you.
Yeah.
So if you can be honest with yourself, so here's a thought: try being vulnerable with yourself. Okay,
And
really
does it
have that
mean?
conversation with yourself. Look in the mirror. Look at yourself,
Yeah.
and seriously, ask yourself, what am I afraid of? What's holding me back? Who? What would the man or woman? What would the person I want to become be doing in this moment right now?
Yeah. So it has a lot of to do with honesty to yourself on
Honesty to
who.
yourself, personal development, guys. That's what this is about.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is something that a lot of people are afraid to show. Again, show it to the world, or be, try to wear a mask or someone for someone you're not, right? And it has a lot of to do with that we think for others, right? So the moment you start thinking about what others might think of you, what you do, or who you are, says nothing about what they actually think. It says all about what you think they think, but that's still you thinking that. So it has nothing to do with what they really think. You don't know what other people think. So every time you think, well, maybe I should do this because other people will think something of me, that's you thinking that. And it's not you showing up for who you truly
It's
can
not
be.
you, and it's not you showing up because you're
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You're not being true to yourself. You're trying to put on some kind of show for somebody else
Yeah.
to impress somebody or something like that. Guys, ladies, it's not worth it.
No, right.
The stress you're putting yourself through, and then you go home at the end of the night and you beat yourself up. Why the hell did I do that? I really didn't even want to go in the first place.
No, right.
Why do you do this to yourself?
Yeah.
Why is not an empowering question? You never ask an empowering question with the word why, but you're going to say this to yourself. What was I thinking? So
yeah, and what does it bring you,
have
right?
to reconcile.
Yeah, and you're not going to help yourself forward hiding, right? So
Correct.
we can talk a little bit about that fear, right? And I guess that's for everyone, not only for guys, also for women. Showing up vulnerable has a lot to do with being afraid of something that might happen to you when you show your vulnerability, right? And I guess for women,
fear.
it's but just fear. I mean, fear is like a big used thing for a lot of people, right? We all fear so many things, and if you take a look at the things we do fear, it's often not even rational that we fear it, but still we do fear it, right? So fear is a whole nother subject. We can talk for an hour on that.
But that gets in the way of you being vulnerable.
Exactly. It's one of the triggers why you hide your vulnerability, because you are afraid of the result that you'll get when you show the vulnerability, right? And I guess for women, it's easier to show their vulnerability because they're already more aligned in their feelings, and especially when they trust someone, right? It's easier for them to show that vulnerability. But still, there is this inner voice, this inner critic voice who says, better not show this or better not tell this because he or she might use it against you, right?
Right. Well, there is a level of trust there, and that's earned, and that's where presence comes in, especially if it's somebody you're involved in a relationship with. But, so yes, you. I'm not asking you to tell all your deep, dark secrets to somebody, to some complete stranger. That's not what we're talking about here.
No.
We're talking about, to start with, can you be vulnerable with you? What is it that you're still afraid of? And have you ever really thought about how not being vulnerable has prevented you from doing things that you could have really accomplished something or experienced something, but you wouldn't allow yourself to go there?
Yeah, absolutely. And there are actually two layers in that, right? So first, start with yourself. Is there this moment where you feel that you're hiding from yourself, right? So we're not even talking about telling your friends these things that you might fear what they will say, what they do, or your partner or whoever. But take an honest look at yourself in the mirror. Look into your eyes.
Yeah.
Right? In the morning or in the evening, look yourself in the eyes for 30 seconds. Try that. If you can't do that, that's a trigger that there is something in there you're kind of like ashamed of. You feel vulnerable. It's very vulnerable to look yourself in the eyes. Try it for 30 seconds. I'll guarantee you'll freak out if you've never done that. But that's a sign that there is something there. So then you can go inside and think, what might it be that there is where I feel, a little bit uncomfortable with, that I can show myself.
I've had to do that. I've had to look at myself in the mirror. I've had to look into my own eyes. And I got to tell you, it took forever. I did not want to do that because I knew I was not going to be happy. I was terrified to see what was in there.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
when you break through all of that bullshit when you finally get past that deep, dark place that's got all the guilt and the fear and the regret and the resentment and all of that stuff,
Yeah.
you find out, you know what? It wasn't that, some of it may be big, but it wasn't that I beat it. It's not something I couldn't beat. I beat it, and I'm still here. I'm still standing, and I'm stronger than I was before because I finally was able to put that thing, that episode, that experience, I was able to, it's over. I don't need it anymore.
No, that's true. But that takes time, right? It like you said, it's not easy. It's not easy. But these are the small things you can do right away. I mean, after watching this, I mean, go to your bathroom and stare yourself in the mirror for 30 seconds and see what happens. What do you feel? And not only like glancing, no, really like into your eyes. Look into your own eyes. And even when you can, say to yourself, hey man, or hi lady, you look damn hot sexy today, right? Whatever it is, give yourself a compliment and see what it does with you. And if that's difficult, try it again tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, etc. So do these small steps, and you can do it yourself. And you'll notice that, you know, the more you do it, the easier it becomes, and you'll feel that it is actually making you feel more, you know, comfortable who you're looking at every day in the morning, right? And the second layer is then, of course, being vulnerable to others. If you cannot do this to yourself, likely you'll find it also difficult to do it to others, right? The trust there is a big thing. And like you said, John, it's not that you need to spill all your secrets to some random stranger, but it shows also to your partner. And actually, this is a good advice for guys, I know personally, creating the connection with your partner or with your loved one, especially if you're serious dating and the relationships start building, sharing these big things in your life, which you aren't particularly proud of, are a huge connection maker, right? I remember the last time with my ex-girlfriend, she told me one of her biggest secrets that she even didn't tell her parents, which was like a real big deal. But having her telling me that to me really made me look like, wow, I really mean something for her, right? So having that sharing moment with each other and showing who you really are, your authentic self, and not being ashamed or not, you know, being fearful, or that is a connection maker. And it's not only in your love relations, it's also with friends, right? So being vulnerable. And the funny thing is, the moment you show yourself being vulnerable, there is no, you take away the ammo of your enemy to shoot you with it, right? I don't know if you've seen this video on YouTube where this guy has the solution for bullying. Bullying is like this big problem, of course, at schools. I've been bullied myself in my youth, so I know all about it. And the way he does it is showing vulnerability and being kind and being, so this bullying girl is trying to bully him, and the moment he takes that and goes against it, they kind of like escalate the whole situation, right? But the moment he shows his vulnerability, says, well, yeah, I know I have weird eyes, or I have a big nose, or I'm short, or whatever it is, but you're so awesome. Like giving her back a compliment, right? It totally neutralizes the situation. So the vulnerability, and in this case also adding the kindness, the vulnerability and kindness, like gets all the ammo away from the bully to keep bullying you, right? From saying, well, yeah, but you're still ugly. Yes, I know, but we already covered that. So, but thank you. You're so kind. So being vulnerable, yes, it's a really cool video. If I can find it, I'll post it on the comments somewhere. But vulnerability is not showing your weakness and showing how weak you are, because it takes a lot of balls to be vulnerable, right? So vulnerability actually opens up the possibility to become more confident, become more self-confident, have more self-esteem, be more open, and show your true self, your authentic self. So that's so incredibly important.
Let me backtrack for a second. You had mentioned that your ex-girlfriend had told you something that was very private to her, and I'm going to suggest that the reason she was able to share that with you is because you created for her that safe space. She was
Yeah,
safe
sure.
around you, and being able, knowing that I'm safe around him, was vulnerability coming from you. You were
Yeah,
vulnerable enough around her that she, you
absolutely.
know what, he's not one of these tough guys. He's a man, and I am safe with him.
Yeah, I
So
totally agree.
kudos to you.
Yeah, well, thanks. It is indeed creating the situation where she also can be vulnerable, which can only be when I am authentic myself, right? And just to give you an idea, this was in the time when we were only talking on chats and on video calls, and we haven't even met each other, right? So, I
Oh
mean,
wow.
we've met each other online, and she was, of course, in Switzerland. I was here in the Netherlands, so we haven't met, and we talked for hours in the evenings, right, on FaceTime or whatever it was, WhatsApp. But still, we were able to create this little bubble of us two, where we can really be ourselves, really show ourselves, be vulnerable, be outgoing and outrageous and fun, and it was all crazy, but still create these moments where you can actually share these things with each other. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's a really nice, and one of the really beautiful parts of that is when you two are aligned like that. There's a peace. There's actually a calm, a peace
yeah,
comes over you because that foundation that the two of you have is so strong.
yeah. And it's indeed the foundation of everything that you build from there,
That
right? You
you build
know
from
that
there.
whatever the situation is, I can share it with her, right? Whatever it is, I know that I can share this with her because she also shared that with me. So it's about trust. It's about the connection you make by showing up who you are, and that's, I think, pretty much where this is all about, right? Being vulnerable is showing up as you, and we're not perfect. No one's perfect, right? We all have our flaws and things we're not proud of.
Correct.
But being vulnerable about that and being open about that and being authentic actually creates trust and a connection in everything, right?
Absolutely. So, but see, you know what we haven't touched on yet. Well, maybe we touched on it, but we didn't get into it. Is how much courage it takes to be vulnerable. You said it before. It takes a lot of balls to be vulnerable. You better believe it does, because I can't speak for women. I'm not a woman, and I've never been one, and I don't know. I don't know that side of it. But as a guy, our biggest fear is appearing weak. And somewhere, somehow, we've equated the word vulnerable with weakness, and that's wrong. That
Yeah,
is incorrect.
yeah, absolutely.
And it's
I think,
nobody's fault. It's not like you're wrong. No, it's the way we were all brought up.
yeah, I think it has to do with the way you were brought up. Indeed, I know that for me, it hasn't been really difficult to do that for people I trust. The moment that I trust someone, it's not hard for me to open up like that because the trust is there, right? But I guess if you really feel that you have to protect your manhood, or I mean, you got to be tough, or you got to be a bad boy, or you got to be masculine, and masculine men, like, you got to show your strength and you don't cry, man, dude, give me some crazy stupid movie and I'll cry my eyes out, right? So I don't have any problems with showing such things. But I totally hear what you're saying. The courage is, I guess, getting from the comfort zone where you are, right? I can't cry, I don't cry, I have to be masculine, into this learning zone, into this new zone where you're uncomfortable, showing something of yourself that you haven't shown anyone else. And if you haven't done that before, and you're like 50 years old, that's a lot of time you like build up the system that you have inside, right? So that change takes a lot of courage. But that goes for any change you have, right? The moment you start or decide to make a certain change or make a step into the unknown, that takes courage. And courage is a part of our learning curve, right? We need courage to make that growth. We can't do it without. And the moment we do it, then you feel the release and you say, okay, so this is indeed something that I can do now, or I feel, I teach people as well. I've done it particularly in companies on public speaking. And the funny thing is, public speaking is, there are more people afraid of public speaking than for death. So for a lot of people, public speaking is like a big thing, right? Being on a stage for 100 people or 30 people or 10 of your colleagues is very hard for a lot of people. Now you can like try to man up and just do this and you go there, but the moment you're there and you're all stumbling and you're stuttering and you can't bring anything out, the best thing is to de-weaponize your audience and say, I'm really nervous now. So, just so you know, I might stutter, I might sweat a little bit. I wear extra socks underneath my arms, so you won't notice, hopefully. So let's do this. Doing things like that takes away all the ammo of your audience to make fun of you being vulnerable, right? By just saying it. Sweetheart, listen, I know I have to work on my vulnerability, and I think it is really fucking hard to do that, but I'll try. And this is what I like to share with you. And I hope that, you won't judge me for it. Something, just call it out. Be open about it. Even being open about being vulnerable about your difficulty you have with vulnerability. Right?
Vulnerability, yeah.
Yeah.
But at least you broke the ice. You took a small step.
Yeah, exactly.
And those small steps add up to big ones. And all of a sudden, you've got all these big wins behind you. Remember to celebrate the small wins because they add up. You can stack them.
Absolutely.
And they add up and they become big wins. And all of a sudden, I'm able to feel and show an emotional side of me to my girlfriend that was never able to show before because I didn't feel safe enough. It wasn't her fault, but I didn't feel comfortable enough. I didn't feel safe enough. I didn't look at me in that mirror and say, what is this about? What are we fighting here?
Yeah.
Because the inability to be vulnerable, you're fighting something. What is it?
Yeah, for sure.
We talked about fear before, right? False evidence appearing real, buck everything and run, or face everything and rise.
Yeah, exactly.
Get in front of it. And it's easier said than done. This is not an easy thing to do. It's
Absolutely.
Huge. But once you do it, man, you just scored the winning touchdown in the Super Bowl once you do it.
The thing with fear, I actually watched a YouTube video about that this afternoon. I kind of like stumped into that from this Shaolin monk type of guy. And it wasn't Jay Shetty. It was like really a monk in India somewhere. And he shared like fear is something we programmed in our mind based on our past experience or the stories we've been told. That's it. Like that is fear, right? And we're either programmed by it, right? Like the primal fear of something like a big bang happens and you scare, you jump up. That's one side. But the feeling afraid of something, that's just thinking, right? I need to cough. Hold on. I'm still having that cold. So,
well, you you're talking about the thought, and the thought becomes a belief only when you repeat
Exactly.
the same thought over and over again. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't get up on that stage and speak to people. I can't go ask that girl out. I can't do it. You keep saying that, you start to believe it, and it becomes real. Well, you
Yeah.
know what? It's the, and it's a thought process. You're running the wrong pattern. So
Yeah.
what if you
And
started to say, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I can go ask that girl out. So if she says no, fine, but I can go ask her out. I can get up on that stage.
yeah, and it's different. It's depending on the type of fear it is, right? So
Right.
having this approach anxiety, you can take away a lot of these things with uh, techniques like being more confident, being outcome independent, things like that. Another example is for what kind, how you said it, which is nice to share, is I'm afraid of heights,
Hmm.
and that's also something in my mind, right? Which I probably inherited from my mom because she's like a real freaking badass on that. She's also like freaking out everywhere we were on heights. We were pulled back on our shirts right when we come too close to a railing or whatever. So from little on, and we were brushed in like heights are dangerous. So last summer, my girlfriend and I actually went. In Switzerland, you have these watchtowers, which are like 40 yards up, right? 40, 50 yards, 60 yards. So
Wow.
you can watch the whole scenery. Beautiful, right? But freaking hell, that's like 50 yards up, right? 50 meters, 50 yards. What is it? On these metal stairs where you can look through, right? So,
Oh,
and
wow.
and I said, oh fuck, man, that is really high. I don't know if I can do this. Well, I just gotta. I want to watch. I want to see the scenery. So, let's fuck it. Let's just do it. So I went up, and of course I'm held to the railing, and I was also like, dude, this structure is there for already like for 50 years. Thousands of people, millions of people have walked there. Nothing's gonna happen, right?
Right.
If you're not doing anything stupid, nothing's gonna happen. So what are you afraid of? Just go up there and enjoy the view, right? And actually, if I look at the pictures, you can see the fear in my eyes. But still, I did it, right? It was like I was standing there. I had the experience, and that these little steps help me get over such fears. So next time, when I'm at some sort of situation where I'm somewhere high, I might say, why not, right? Let's do this. When I'm at swimming pool and you have to jump from the high, how do you call that? The Where these swimmers dive off, right? The
Oh, the
diving
high
board,
dive? The high
high
dive.
dive, right? Yeah, which is like, what is it, 4 meters above the
Yeah.
water or something, or five? I don't know. Man, I think I've done that only once in my life, right? But I'm gonna do it next time I'm in the swimming pool. I'm gonna do that, but because training myself to get into the fear and face that fear, and knowing that everything will be all right. If I do it safely and everything, it's gonna be. I'm not gonna die when I jump off that board, right? So you got to face that fear, and it's hard because there are other fears that are still in my mind. Why I'm not doing certain things that I might should be doing. But yeah, it is about facing it and understanding. I think that's the most important message here. Understand that fear is something as a thought, right? And thoughts and beliefs can change. And actually, a thought you have, a physical thought you are having, like, oh fuck, this is high, I'm afraid. That's a thought and a reaction from your brain, like sending all these hormones, these fear hormones. But that's just a biological reaction. It has nothing to do with reality. And the moment you understand that, you can decide to go against it. So yeah, but it's not easy. No, absolutely, it's not easy. But that's
No,
not what we said, right? We didn't say it was easy.
no,
Sometimes
no,
things are simple but not easy. Yeah.
absolutely. And all this is simple, not easy. I know, let's see. Yeah, it falls into the vulnerability category. It falls into the fear category. Facing a fear when I went skydiving.
Oh yeah.
We're
That's the
sitting
same for
on the
me.
edge of that plane at 14,000 feet up, and we're all go, 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 go. And all of a sudden, I'm free falling out of this plane from 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
The view was amazing. And I was scared to death until we pulled that ripcord and that chute opened up and the canopy opened up and we just floated. It was so peaceful and serene, but the abject terror as you're sitting on the edge of the plane with the door open.
Yeah.
And then we went, and you know what? But I beat it. I did it. I beat it. And
Have you ever? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead.
it took courage. And I realized how vulnerable I was at that moment. That this could have gone a lot of different ways.
Sure.
But you know what? I did it. I beat it. And I came out. And it was amazing.
Exactly.
Because when you can do this, when you can be vulnerable, and even through the fear, once you do whatever it is that you're afraid of, that vulnerability is preventing you from doing, you're on top of the world.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I did it. I did it.
I'll see if I can find it. There is this video from Will Smith who actually talks about jumping out of an airplane, and he makes a great story out of it. Yeah, and but you know, he says as well, like behind the fear lies the kingdom, right? There is the prize, there is the reward, there is the thing you were longing for. So you got to break through that fear. Another great example that I love, that one of my own mentors told me, that you could see fear as if you're driving in a car and fear is sitting next to you and you become scared that fear's taking the wheel over and starts driving. No, you have to put fear on the back seat. You can see fear still in your rearview mirror, right?
Yep.
And the moment it like panics, like watch out or be careful, we can't do this. You say, hold on, I'm driving. It's good you're here. Thanks for noticing. But I'm driving. I'm deciding where we go. So having fear with you is okay. You don't have to block fear. You don't have to get rid of fear, right? You gotta, like Tony Robbins calls it, actually dancing with the fear, right? You gotta start dancing with the fear. Yeah, because then you start noticing why you can actually ask fear, what is it that you are triggered by that makes me so scared? Now, this might take some practice if you really want to do this, like talking to your inner parts, but you can actually, especially with a coach or a therapist, you can talk about this fear, and with this fear, like, what is it trying to solve for you, right? Because it is a mechanism there that's trying to protect you. But against what? Is it still realistic, right? So don't shove it away, don't block it, don't ignore it. You can acknowledge it, but you are in control. Yeah. And it's up there.
It's up here. You have to take control.
Yeah, but yeah, that's about fear. And if you break through this fear and you show up with what you are afraid of, with showing up as who you are, your vulnerability, right? That's what we were talking about.
We ended up covering two topics today, which is great.
Yeah,
you can't really talk one without the other.
It's absolutely true. The one is connected to the other for many people, and for many more subjects, right? There's so many other things that are going on in your life where you're afraid to make that step, right? And you know, you and I have gone through lots of them, and all of you guys as well, probably, right? We've all had these moments in our lives where you had to make a decision, or you did make a decision and you didn't know what the outcome was, but you went for it anyway, right? For everyone who has been through a divorce, you guys know what we're talking about, or quitting your job or moving to Switzerland, right? You know, the things what you do might take courage, and you don't know what's coming, but if you feel you are aligned with the result and that's what you want, I mean, fear is just a signaling function to show you, dude, are you sure? Yeah, okay, well, let's just go for it then.
I moved from New York to Florida.
That's a big thing.
I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I'm so glad I did it, but I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
Yeah, I totally get that. How far apart is that? That's like a couple of thousand miles, right?
About 1,500 miles.
Right. Yeah. So that's about 2,300 kilometers or something. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, that's like moving to Spain from the Netherlands. Yeah. Yeah.
We did. I had my cousin my wife and my mother-in-law drove down here and got the house ready when we first moved down here.
Right.
I came down a few days later with the kids in the minivan, and my cousin helped. She wanted to go for a road trip, so we switched off driving. We stopped for gasoline, food, and oil changes. We did 1,500 miles in 24 hours.
Wow, that's a lot.
And yeah, and we were hauling ass, but we did it. It was a great trip, and it was. Oh, I'm so glad we did it.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
glad we stepped out and did it.
Yeah,
and that's what it's about.
That's the thing. Behind the fear, there lays the price, right? So yeah,
That's right.
Showing up, showing yourself, being authentic, it's a strength, and facing the fears, knowing how to deal with fear is a strength, and combined, I mean, that's like, dude, girl, you're on fire if you can manage that.
Yeah,
you can do it. You can do literally anything you want. This, I think, are the two things that hold people back the most, right? Fear to make the decision to go to do something they really want, and to show the world who they really are, this authentic face without the mask, without the social pressure, like who you should be, etc. If you can strip away these two things, the world's at your feet, right? You literally can do everything what you want. Yeah,
you can.
All right. Well,
All
guys and
right,
girls, thank you so much for joining us here. And I hope the comments flooded through these episodes. So my time traveling self, my future self, is now typing like crazy. And so future Maurice, thank you so much for joining us as well here on the live stream. John, thank you so much again for all your wisdom and your funny stories, your great stories.
Yeah.
And
I'm not we didn't tell everybody the reason. The reason we're doing this now, because I'm not going to be around next weekend. I got a family member who's getting married. I'm going to be gone for the weekend. I won't be back till very late Sunday night. So we decided to do this early.
Yeah, we don't want a drunk John on the podcast, right?
And pull me off the dance floor, right? So we will. So this one's going to be still broadcast on Sunday, but we'll be back next Sunday.
Absolutely,
full force.
Absolutely. Talk to you again, guys. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Good night.